Eryn Krueger Mekash is the Emmy-winning makeup artist and producer behind Netflix's limited series Hollywood. I'm Kevin Jacobsen of Gold Derby, here with Eryn. And hey, and to start, I just wanted to ask, what was your relationship with the Hollywood Golden Age before signing on to this project and this particular era of the 40s?
Well, not only do I love that time period, which is incredibly beautiful and precise, but I'd also done two World War II films, and I've done another series with Ryan called Ratchet that's coming out, I think, in 2021. And I just have always really appreciated that time period, but this was a complete change on that idea. And so it was, really appreciating minorities and women more, and it really had a great feel and a great twist to it.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of real life figures portrayed in the show, like Rock Hudson, Hattie McDaniel, Anna May Wong, Vivian Lee, Henry Wilson. What was the process for just transforming the actors into real life people, and many of which I think the public kind of has a vision in their mind of what they should look like?
A lot of it is taking pictures of research that we do, and we compare straight from pictures to the actual actor that's going to be portraying that character or real person. And we try to do a lot of highlight and shadow. Sometimes we use prosthetics in order to achieve that look. Rock Hudson is wearing 6 pieces of silicone makeups that we did every day that he worked. He also wore a set of teeth. And then he also, like with Jim Parsons, who played Henry Wilson, he's wearing teeth, contacts, and a bald pate, and a very intense bad toupee, which is what Henry Wilson wore. So we kind of do a little bit of prosthetic work sometimes, and sometimes we don't need to, and we just do a little bit of highlight and shadow and try and replicate the way that people looked. And we did that a lot with different actors on this as well. I've done that a lot with Ryan, where sometimes we step into the prosthetic world and sometimes we just do makeup to try and enhance the actor's features to look like the historical person that they're portraying.
Yeah. And well, one of the fictional main characters on the series is Avis, played by Miss Patti LuPone. Yeah. I was actually talking with the costume designers of Pose the other day, actually, and they were just mentioning how collaborative she was on set, just with her costumes. Did you find that to also be true with you as for her makeup?
Absolutely. She was done by Kim Ayers, who is my right hand in all things film and television, and she is incredibly talented. And so we just kind of sat down and decided what Avis should look like, and a lot of it is influenced by how glamorous she is and the lifestyle that she leads. She is obviously a very wealthy woman, and we also wanted to reflect on her glamorous days in the 30s, and she's an up-and-coming actress. So we wanted to kind of pull in a little bit of deeper tones to her lipstick, which is something that she would have really still worn at that time. And we just wanted her to be very put together and very glamorous. And I think that we achieved that.
Yeah, for sure. What was your...
Wigs are beautiful. The wigs that
Michelle
designed. Barry Limo did her day-to-day application of her wigs, and the hats and all of the turbans and everything go hand in hand with her wigs. And she's just a masterpiece, I think.
Yeah. Well, what was your approach for Laura Harrier, her character Camilla, who goes from like this actress looking to break into the industry to the bona fide leading lady star? How did you chart that journey through just how she presented herself?
Well, a lot of the actors that we were working with obviously are young ingenue type beautiful ladies, and people still wore red lipstick on a day-to-day basis because the post-war optimism was reflected in, women were wearing a lot of red lipstick, and there was hardly any other lipstick shade actually then. But we started off, with red lipsticks anyways, and then kind of with Laura, we kind of moved into this really glamorous, much more glamorous put together look as she became the star and the award winner that she always knew that she would be.
Yeah. And speaking of red, we also have Samara Weaving, who plays Claire. And just whenever I think of that character, I just see red. You know, just the red costumes and the bold red lip. Could you just talk about your vision for her and actually just how much collaboration there was, even with the costumes department?
There's always a collaboration with the costumes department, and that's where it starts. Really, is that costumes comes on the scene, the design comes on the scene of any project, usually much earlier than any other department. And production design is part of the look of the show, the colors that we're using, the color palette, and so that's where we start, is that we get to see the color palette first, and we already know where we're going to be going. Hollywood is a very warm tone show, and so we knew that Samara was going to be wearing a lot of warm tones, including red, and it just is, it lends to that optimism. And then she's also led a very optimistic and wealthy life, and we always wanted her to just look very put together. And of course, she ends up becoming an ally to Laura's character, and it's really it lends to the optimism, I think. And she's just such a beauty, and Sam is such a beauty, and we all just work together. Actors have to be comfortable in what they're wearing as well, and I think that a lot of it happens when you finally get the full look on. You get the hair done, the makeup done, the costumes together, and then you say, oh, we're in that time period. So it helps, all of these things help actors to become their characters.
Yeah. Are there any, special details in the work that you did for the show that maybe a casual viewer wouldn't notice, but that you were really proud to sort of make happen?
Let's see, details. I mean, I think a lot of it is that they don't realize that Jake Picking is wearing prosthetics. I think that's we're really proud of that fact. A lot of people don't know that he's wearing ears, a nose, eyelids, and a lower lip. And then later he wears a chin. I'm sorry, not a chin, but teeth. And then he's wearing, he has his hair dyed dark. He has, there's a lot of upkeep, I think, with men shaving, and I think that also lends to the beauty of the show, is that the men are all wearing a little bit of makeup to make them look very glamorous as well, and so they look very matte and very sun-kissed. We definitely have an optimistic view of. I think it lends towards the optimistic view of how Hollywood should have been. And how people should have been treated. So we wanted to have that look of the show. Everybody is in warm looks. So I think that's part of it, is that people really make comments about that to me, about that it looks so sincere, and it's very satisfying. And I think that it lends to the perfection of how hard we work to make sure that everyone looked amazing.
Well, you are also a producer on Hollywood, which you've been on other Ryan Murphy productions since Gianni Versace, I believe. So what did you just contribute as a producer on Hollywood?
Back when I started working for Ryan on Nip Tuck, and so it's been quite a few years now. It's like 17 years or something. And he always kind of said, you have my eye on set. And that started all the way back then. And through Glee, American Horror Story, Versace, and Feud. And so eventually he gave me the title of producer, which really has the connotations of being an aesthetic producer, so that I am kind of overseeing things on set. Lou Eyrich, who's the costume designer with Sarah Evelyn, Lou and I both have that title, and we staff our shows and all of Ryan's shows, and keep an eye on shows and make sure that the aesthetic is there, and that the standard is Ryan Murphy standard, which is very high. And so we are constantly monitoring, supervising, and helping out our teams in any way we can to make sure that they have, their workflow is productive, and that they are getting the answers they need. So a lot of it is an aesthetic situation where you're on set and you're making decisions and helping other crew members. So I'm very honored to have the title, and I'm very grateful to be to be a producer in Ryan Murphy world, especially with the climate of the world now and how he has been on the forefront of acceptance and being advocates for minorities and women. It's just a really, it's a real honor.
Mm. Yeah, and speaking to, you mentioned working with him since the days of Nip Tuck. I'm actually just curious about your working relationship with him, and just whether anything has changed now that he's really become, one of the biggest sort of moguls in the industry.
He has, it's true. I think we got to see a little bit more of him back in the day. We got to see a little bit more of him in the makeup trailer, and I feel really grateful for those days because we all got to really bond with him and have this relationship with him, which is he's an incredibly funny person and incredibly loyal, and to be able to share those experiences. We did, Lou and I also did Running with Scissors with him, and I did Eat, Pray, Love with him, and just finished The Prom with him, and it's been undeniably an incredible experience to work for him. It started off small and has built into this incredible thing, which I know, I don't think anybody, he probably knew that it was going to be like that. But I mean, I just knew that I was working for somebody that was incredibly devoted to the look of makeup, hair, costumes, art direction. He loves all that stuff, and who could ask for more in a boss, to have somebody that really cares about what you do for a living. It's incredibly rewarding. Where I haven't, ventured out really much further than a couple of projects here and there that I felt strongly about, and he's always been really supportive of that too. So I'm incredibly lucky to be in the Ryan Murphy universe.
Yeah, you're part of the troupe. Yes. Well, since you were a producer, I also just wanted to ask you, just on a story level, just your thoughts on like the value of creating this kind of alternate history for old Hollywood, where you would have a film like Meg that becomes a blockbuster and it wins a bunch of Oscars. That's something that's kind of been a topic of conversation with the series, and I would just love to know your opinion on kind of what the show offers in that regard.
I think a lot of it is, it was really surprising, because it feels comfortable, it feels realistic, and it feels like this is how it should be. And it's getting to be more like that nowadays, which is a direct reflection of a lot of stuff that Ryan is doing with his HALF initiative. And people are really starting to come alive to the idea of having everybody be involved with, crews and cast. We still have a lot of work to do, but to see this kind of thing, it's incredibly wild how timely this show was. But that's Ryan for you. He literally has his fingers on the pulse of what's happening in culture, in entertainment, and it's reading the scripts and seeing, that attitudes could change by one person saying, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make this move, by Avis saying, we're going to make this movie with her, the people that supported her, and saying, like, we can do this. Let's be bold and do this. And being brave that way, it would have changed a lot of the world and in the entertainment field back then. And it's so cool to see. Like I said before, I think people feel that it's a very sincere show. And one of the coolest things that I didn't realize was going to happen is that several of my friends that I know that are, that are minorities, a few of my friends that are Asian, contacted me directly about the Anime Wong and the and then of course Darren Chris's part. Michelle Krusek, who plays Anime Wong, it was such an incredible job that she did, and Darren being half Filipino. They said it's the first time that they've seen themselves on television. They've seen their culture on television and how incredibly moving and inspiring it was for them. And that's just, you don't expect that. I'm white, so I don't ever have that experience. So to have several people email me and say, this has been the most moving experience to see this on television is just overwhelming and just so moving. It's very touching and so cool, you know, to be like, wow, I'm getting to work on a program that actually means something like that.
Yeah, it sounds very rewarding.
It
Yeah.
is.
And well, speaking of rewarding, actually, you have won 8 Emmys for your work as a makeup artist and a producer, and I wrote them all down. I'm going to list them off.
Oh my gosh.
You won for The Normal Heart. You won 2 for American Horror Story Freak Show, American Horror Story Hotel, American Horror Story Roanoke, Feud, Betty and Joan, and then 2 for the assassination of Gianni Versace. Pretty impressive. So when you look back on just all those projects, is there one in particular that you'll just always have a soft spot for, that you were just especially proud of the work you did?
Oh my gosh. Well, you know, The Normal Heart was my first Emmy win. I had been, at that time, I had been nominated 28 times and I'd never won. And I was just so, people can say it back and forth, you know, it's just an honor to be nominated. Truthfully, to have your peers tell you that your work is worthy of a nomination is out of this world incredible. I don't care what anybody says. But when you win one and someone says your work is incredible and we want you to have an award for it, it's such an honor. And that was the project, and especially with the recently late Larry Kramer, incredibly moving for me to be awarded that. I loved working with Matt Bomer. I loved working directly with the medical techs that helped me make sure that everything looked precise and that the respect was there to the millions of people that have passed away from AIDS. And it was an incredible project to work on. The cast was amazing and fun, and the acting was incredible. I really felt so rewarded from that project. And then of course, all of my American Horror Story shows, all of the seasons it's an overwhelmingly hard work. It's incredibly difficult, and Freak Show in itself was beautiful and tons of prosthetics. I mean, so many characters had prosthetics. So each of the awards that I won have their own significance, and all of our work that we do in film and television is hard. There's nobody that can say, that show was easy and I'm glad I got an award for it. It's all of it's difficult. The award is is a cherry on the topping, though, of a sundae. It's amazing. It's an amazing feeling, and I feel very honored to have been awarded for something that I love doing. I still love doing.
Yeah, well, you've certainly gotten a lot of cherries.
I know. I know that. I do.
But it's deserved. It's deserved work for sure.
Thank you.
And well, for those of you watching now, hit like and subscribe for more Emmy season interviews just like this, and head to goldderby.com to start making your predictions. Eryn, thank you so much for chatting with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Kevin. And it was great to talk with you too. It's an honor.
Indeed. Thanks.
Thank you.